Yeah, it started.
Yeah.
Okay, namaste. So what is your question? Morning you had called some question you had.
My question is, it's regarding this when we have this Runana Bandha and all, right? So let's say that let's say I'm gonna get married, or I might have some Runana Bandha with someone else in this life. So without getting how do you overcome it? Means sometimes some people won't marry, or some people will be having that debt to repay it. How can you overcome it, or is it possible to overcome it, or it will happen on this life if it's there?
So I will answer in English and Kannada. So your question is, ಮದ್ವೆ ಋಣಾನ ಬಂಧದಿಂದ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮದ್ವೆ ಆಗ್ಲೇಬೇಕಾ, ಋಣಾನ ಬಂಧ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದಾ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಎನ್ಲೈಟನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್
ಮದ್ವೆ
ಎನ್ಲೈಟನ್ಮೆಂಟ್.
ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲದು ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್, ಎನಿ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್.
Okay, so yeah, so liberation or enlightenment is a path where you have to unconditionally love everyone. You should not hurt anyone. Then you get liberated quickly. So liberation is not that easy. I should not use that word. Okay, if I keep saying that, people will get scared. It's easy. See, a person may do long hours of sadhana. He will learn n number of techniques. He will do like 8 hours, 10 hours of sadhana. He will give up job. He will give up family just for sake of getting enlightened. But he may not get, because for enlightenment, love and devotion is important. With love, when love intensifies, it becomes unconditional love. When unconditional love intensifies, it becomes bhakti. When bhakti intensifies, it gets you into a state of surrender. You are ready to surrender to the Guru and to the God. Then only you get liberated. Guruvina gulama aguva tanka doredaya mukti. It's very actually correct. So loving materialistic things is easy. Loving this bottle is easy. Loving this is easy because it doesn't hurt us. Do they hurt you? No. If this damages, you can buy another one, better one, because you have an experience. Okay, you know the plus and minus of this. So if it damages few minutes or few days, you will get depressed. Then you will overcome it. Time heals you, and you can buy a new one. Okay, so love on objects is very limited.
Mute.
So anything, yeah, I got a call. Sorry for the interruption. So object, one love is attachment, one love is detachment. The love which comes from attachment is conditioned love. Like a father will say, you get first rank, I love you, or I'll buy you a bicycle. You fail, then the parent will become rude on the child. They will insult, they'll humiliate the child, they'll beat the child, they'll scold the child. They're not ready to accept the child. They're not ready to see something, some innate talent which is there in the child. That is conditional love. So what is unconditional love? Whether the child gets first rank or not, you still love the child. You respect the child. You listen to the child. You will try it. Okay, he's not doing well in the studies. Okay, let me see where he is good. That is unconditional love. Okay. So this love, which is important for liberation, it comes only when you deal and live with people. And you spiritually grow more when you are in tough relationships. Easy relationships are nothing. It can be easily handled. When you are forced to live with a tough relationship, the tough relationship may come with parents. It may come, see, with Guru, the relationship is always tough. With a real enlightened Guru, the relationship is always tough. That is why for enlightenment, the ultimate relationship is with Guru. Okay, once you have passed all the tests, once you're wise, once you have enough punya, once you have done a lot of sadhana, I'm telling it, I'm taking into account past life also. Okay, that wisdom, that sadhana, that punya, if you have, then only you get into a relationship with Guru. Relationship with Guru means I'm telling about divine relationship, okay, a normal relationship. Okay, the relationship with an enlightened Guru is always painful, always tough. If he is a real Guru, then it has to be tough. If he is not a real Guru, if he is a Guru who is pleasing people, why you please people? When I want something only, I'll please you. When I want money from you, when I want power or position or anything from you, then I will please you. If I want nothing from you, why will I please you? The Guru's real interest is only your spiritual growth. So he will never please you. So that is ultimate. He may thrash your ego. He will attack your ego. He will create situations where your ego will be thrashed. He will test you. You will not be knowing how he's going to test. Yet it hurts. It gives you pain. He will insult you. Yet you are to love the Guru. Then you will progress in the spirituality. Okay, that is ultimate relationship. So to grow spiritually, you need wisdom. You need maturity. You need to develop that patience, that unconditional love, compassion, understanding. Where do you get all these qualities? Will you get if these qualities if you just go and sit in a cave in a Himalaya, or if you're surrounded with objects? You won't. You need to have a tough relationship. You need to have someone who is going to hurt you, so that you have to repeatedly keep forgiving them, repeatedly keep unconditionally loving them, so that your heart opens. You become accepting in nature. Once you become accepting in nature, you become flexible. Your ego dissolves. Okay, these tough relationships will punch your ego. So for punching the ego, you need relationships. So for that, you need Runanubandha. Fulfilling your duties, working out your Runanubandha, with that doing sadhana, learning the lessons. Only when you learn the lessons deeply, then only your soul evolves. Okay. When your soul evolves, you go near liberation. It may take many lifetimes, or it depends from soul to soul. So why we should run away from relationships? So yes, if the Runanubandha for getting married to someone is very strong, no one can stop you. Okay, because there have been enlightened gurus who are married. There have been enlightened gurus who are not married. So this causes confusion. See, they say if you have a lot of punya, you won't get married. Okay. But if your soul wants to experience that marriage, and also you have the Runanubandha, soul wants to experience, and you have the Runanubandha, and the Guru wants you to get into that phase and learn something. If all these three, merge, then you're bound to marry. Marriage or working is very good, because someone is going to puncture you. They're going to bring out your strength and weaknesses and skills in you. So no one can meditate for long hours. See, you may meditate for 20 hours per day, but if you don't have love and devotion in your heart, the love and devotion for the person who is giving you tough time in your life, if you don't have, you will not grow. You are in your spiritual growth because of your past life, good and bad karma. You will definitely have good relationships and bad relationships in life. So good relationships will give you sweet time. Bad relationships will give you real spiritual growth. So people just avoid. I don't want anything. I just want to meditate. Yeah, you meditate, you accumulate energy, but for you to get tested, do you have ego? Do you have the quality of forgiveness? What is the percentage of patience you have? What is the percentage of unconditional love you have? What is the percentage of compassion, caring you have? Okay, that can be only tested when reality is there. Okay, so then, see, one more important thing comes here is about sex. See, many people, they just want to avoid marriage because they want to avoid responsibility. Okay, fine. Second thing is they want to avoid marriage because they have wrong notions about sex, or some, especially with girls, many girls, 98% girls anywhere in India are sexually abused in small way or in a bigger way. That itself becomes a big blockage in the mind. So just let go of it. And if you are interested, experience it, completely experience it, and come out. See, everyone have sexual urge because it is an innate tendency, because we are born out of it. Okay, you need food for your stomach, so your body needs it. So at right stage, that desire comes because nature wants you to create a progeny. Okay, there's nothing wrong in that. Yeah, some people who are not spiritual, they have no problem. Their parents or they love someone and they get married and they lead a normal life. But people who are into spirituality, they get into confusion mode. Should I marry? Should I not marry? In that 10, 20 years goes up and they become old. Then some would have experienced, some would not have experienced. They would have not got enlightened. Unfortunately, the enlightenment also doesn't happen. Then you tell me the question mark. Okay, so it's okay to marry, but marry a person who is going to spiritually support you. For that, honestly, you have to tell to the person, see, I'm spiritual. This is my lifestyle. I will support you. I will care, love for you, but I need these many hours for my sadhana on daily basis. You need not disturb me. So have that honest conversation. Tell your reality. And if that person is okay, then only get into marriage with that person. Okay. Otherwise, it is going to be a problem. Then meditate. Once you come out of meditation, there will be a lot of tests from family, also from the outside world. If you have guru, the guru also will create a lot of tests for you. So in that we grow. See, the ego will become very weak once the person crosses age of 45. The ego becomes weaker and weaker because of the life trials, tribulations, difficulties, family tests and all. No? The ego a little bit reduces. Okay, they become accepting towards the life, that they don't fight or they don't struggle with whatever comes in their life. See, when you offer too much of resistance and fight towards whatever the life is throwing at you, the events and the people and the situations, if you fight against it, then ego is very strong. Sometimes you have to accept and surrender the people, situations, and the events. Then the ego a little bit dissolves. Okay, so that will be better in the people once they cross 45 plus. Okay, so just judging a person because he's in the materialistic world is not spiritual. No, many spiritual people are more dangerous, I'll tell you, because they have this huge gap, the duality, So always see positive in every situation. If I have seen gurus who used to sleep for 4 hours, 5 hours, who had a very successful business, who had 2 wives. He was enlightened. It requires hard work. If you're married, little more efforts are needed. Maybe your enlightenment may be delayed for 5-10 years, but it's not guaranteed now. If you don't marry, if you meditate, is it written? No, it's not written.
No.
Some people get enlightened accidentally. Some people get enlightened accidentally. See, for enlightenment, 1 year before the enlightenment, intense sadhana is needed. Just 1 year before the enlightenment. Till that 1 year before the enlightenment, you have to meditate intensely for 3-4 hours per day. But once you go, you'll know it. Once you go towards the enlightenment, that 1 year you have to be a little bit alone and you have to do intense sadhana. Okay, so every guru's life is different. There are many people who don't get married. There are many avdutas, enlightened beings. They keep meditating. They don't even allow public to come near them. They keep public aloof and they are always in samadhi. I'll tell you, they are the luckiest ones. They don't marry. They're born, they get enlightened, they're in samadhi. But being in samadhi itself, they're doing a lot of good to the humanity, Their samadhi energy itself is creating a lot of good to the world, which people don't know. People think that person is a waste. No. He is the real temple. He is the real God on the earth. So some avdutas...
Actually, one guy was there. Yeah, one guy was there in Tiruvannamalai. My friend had gone and asked him about it. Asked him about that guru, and one disciple told that story. Actually, there was a guru in Tiruvannamalai who never used to talk to anyone, who never used to tell their disciples what to do or what to meditate on. So all the disciples were telling that, why are you not coming Why are you not coming outside? Then that guru told me, I'm being alive itself. I'm doing so much to the humanity that you don't know.
Yeah.
Same story. I just got connected when you told.
Because for me also, I have received criticism. Okay. See, I worked after my enlightenment. I worked because I lacked experience, and my guru said to work. I don't know, it was my prarabdha or having worked for 4.5 years, it has given me a lot of experiences and skills, and I'm satisfied. I can tell to anyone, say I worked. But many people will ask me, what do you do full day? Full day, sometimes I'll be in samadhi. full day I'll be enjoying that samadhi. That itself is the greatest thing which I am doing to the humanity, which people don't know. They don't even understand. So for a person, they have to. A girl means either she has to get married, make a baby, look after the house, husband, cook, wash clothes. Okay, that's fine. Otherwise, she has to be working, making money. That is normal. For a person like to see me, okay, full day you are in this with great difficulty. I have achieved this. I've got this grace. And if me sitting in samadhi, it is going to help the humanity. People don't even recognize. See, when I got enlightened, just a few days after my enlightened, I had an experience. One morning I woke up and I just woke up all of a sudden I was sitting. All the pujas, all the worships which was done in temple or church or mosque, I felt it was getting offered to me. And then I was like, what is this? Is this extra ego or is it what? Then I just put this question to the divine. Then I go for breakfast, the breakfast of food, I think. I just on the TV and some Buddhist movie was coming. And in that movie, one person comes, visits this monk. In the tradition, they have what puja they do is they just sit, they just offer flowers, and when they're offering the flower, they say, "May this flower go to the enlightened beings, to all the enlightened beings." Then I understood. Okay, then I got my answer. And when I went for a job, more problem was created to the people because of my energy presence, and I used to feel so bad. Like for example, my coordinator, there was an annual day function. See, initially I worked in LKG for 1 year, then I worked as a trainer in an academy. So there was an annual day function coming up, and my principal told the dresses for the kids should be disposed to the parents the previous day. In the meeting, I told my coordinator, we were sitting with the teachers. I told my coordinator what principal told was right. We'll just dispose the dresses, let the children wear from home and they come. She was like, oh no, no. She gave a big lecture. She couldn't take that. I'm a coordinator. She's just a teacher and she's giving me the advice. Then I was like, madam, whatever you want to do, you do. Then she put all the clothes into a cupboard and we went home. Next day we come. I go half an hour late because I was not well. My coordinator, the entire teacher, the entire environment is very tense and stressed. I was like, they saw me and they were like fully tense. I just went, sat in my room. After 5 minutes, they come and they tell that, that cupboard is locked. The cupboard in the room is locked. And the key that guy has taken, and where he is, they don't know. And after an hour, the bus has to leave. And the program is going to start. And she's not able to pick up the principal call. Kids have come. Only makeup is done. They don't have dress. LKG, UKG, nursery. Okay, there were around 80 kids. Then full hangama, and that guy very easy. He's not picking the call. They are trying to break the door. That is not happening. Then I understood. Okay, yesterday she did that hangama. Now she's facing the karma. And I just prayed, God, give us some way. Then luckily that guy, that time he picked up the call and they got the key and they opened and they brought the dress. In 10 minutes, we had to make the kids wear the dress and we left. And then she got relaxed. Then I was like, when I will get mukti from this job, many things, such thing happened. And all my co-teachers, they started praying to Yellamma Devi. They told they're having problems. Unexpected problems are coming for us, the entire team. We were just 5 teachers, okay? 5 or 6 teachers. So they became devotee of Yellamma. Yellamma Devi is an enlightened being. Saudatti Yellamma. And that Saudatti Yellamma temple is of very good vibrations. Saudatti Yellamma movie is there. Okay, she's a very fierce.
Where is it?
Saudatti Yellamma. She's an enlightened being. Anyone makes one wrong comment on her, immediate negative karma.
Where is it? Which?
That is there in North Karnataka. The main place. She was born there. You can watch that movie. It's there in Kannada. But the small temples about Yellamma is there everywhere. A lot of North Kannadigas follow her. Okay. One negative comment, just that energy will hit you. Okay. And all of them became devotees of Yellamma. I was like, who is this Yellamma? Then I watched a movie. I was like, yeah, man, she's very powerful. She's an enlightened being. The problem was because of my energy. Okay. I was like, oh, when will I get mukti out of this job? But I did get mukti. So, many avdutas, they fear, they don't fear. They are a little bit hesitant to interacting with public. Because, any avduta, even the photo, they cover with a thing, because someone comes, they see the photo, they make a negative comment, they get huge negative karma. If he is a non-enlightened guru, no impact. But if it's an enlightened guru, if a negative remark goes, it bounces back, boomerangs in many ways. So many
So
of
you're telling that we share the karmas also. If I come in contact with a good person, will I be sharing the karma of that guy also if I'm interacting with them? Or
not sharing,
same way, if I go into a bad company, if he does wrong thing and I am just part of it, I'm not doing anything. But indirectly, that karma is also gonna hit me, right?
See, you interact with a good person or a bad person because of some past life karma. You just come and interact. Okay, so you may be working out past life karma. You will work out definitely. But unfortunately, with working out, you will create more karma. You will create more karma if you also put action. See, karma is created through action, through speech and through thought. So he drinks, you drink, action is created. He speaks bad, you speak bad, action is created. He speaks good, you speak good, good action is created. Good karma is created. But most dangerous is mind karma. And karma, mouth karma, some way it can be easily worked out. But the major, more intense suffering comes from mind karma.
From
okay,
thought only, action is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Thought only action are going to happen. That's why thought is
action. Okay, say I want to drink. Yeah, I want to drink. I will drink and keep. Action to some extent, for some moment, it will get done. It is finished. But thinking, this water, was it neat or not? This thinking can go on for years, right? So mental karma. See, you and he will have some conversation. He will have some ideologies. You will have some ideologies. So he will trigger some type of thinking in you. And depending upon your sanchita past and your personality, your samskaras, something will trigger in you. And if you keep on thinking continuously, you are generating karma only. So interaction is not bad. Interact with a criminal person or with the police. Interact, forget it. But whatever, be in surrender state. You may get some guidance, apply it, that's it. But don't carry it home. See, now I went out for that plantation, no? Like we had to load some 2,000 trees. We had a lot of comedy there. That gardener was a big comedy. We enjoyed, we laughed. I came home, that's it, finished. If I keep thinking about that plans, that comedy, he was commenting he has drank, and he was commenting you are mad. So all this comedy was going on. If I come home and if I keep analyzing about those people, about those situations, that bad, this person was, then it generates more mental karma for which I have to pay. So be in that moment, finish up the work, come home, disconnect. And if I think about it, what is the benefit? It's not going to benefit. There was comedy, there was, all the thing was there. I saw all the emotions. We say navarasas. All the navarasas was there. Be in that moment, you do your work and come. And that whatever minute actions you have to do with your hands and mouth, by that day's meditation, it will get dissolved. But if you get involved in that, there are a lot of people, mental illness.
A lot of.
That is really that's why I tell, don't analyze, don't think so much, because mental karma is the worst karma. And many people, meditation is not difficult. Why many people can't meditate? Because of mental karma. They sit, analyze, they perceive wrong things, they think wrong things, they see someone or some situation and they judge, and they think they're very intelligent. The judgment may be wrong, and because of that, they'll be accumulating so much of mental karmas. See, regarding me only, one person called, "Madam, you are behind fame." I was like, "Madam, just because I planted trees, I did annadana, I made behind fame." See, why annadana happened? Kiran called and told, "Madam, lot of people in Majestic, they need food." Then one day we just, we paid money and we made pongal. Then we thought we will only cook. Then something happened. We got civil defense team. It happened. Kiran was the person who approached. Then regarding ration kit also, Kiran only approached. Regarding plantation also, Kiran approached. Okay, let's do. And team, and he only brought up that team. We got Okay, and regarding that TV interview, Geeta madam was my student. Her husband, all of a sudden they approached for the app. It was in half an hour, it got fixed. Then they approached for the kit. Then we gave the kit with the people facing worse situations. Then from day one, you're telling you do interview. Then I sent Manu. That day they called me so many times. I didn't pick the call. Then evening I picked the call. What, madam? You didn't pick the call. You didn't come. They waited from morning 9:30 to afternoon 3:30. I didn't show up. Then Manu was there. Manu was nicely given food and all nice food, everything. Then I didn't. Then I felt bad. Then they said, "What, madam?" Ashok and Ashok sir spoke. That senior actor. Then they forced. Then I was like, Ashok sir, senior actor. Then let me do it. That's not even a big channel, okay? Something I spoke and I came. So see the perception. It's a wrong perception. So very, very wrong. And I am like, how it comes, I'm going. I'm going with
judgmental, right?
And people say I'm ambitious. I'm not ambitious. Judgmental. See, if I was ambitious, I would have done so much of. See, with donation, we are doing service. I could have done so much of advertisement. I've not done it. I never did any advertisement. People are coming. That's it. See, the judgment is so wrong. This only shows the mental karma, no? And in that they will tell something and they speak, they do actions, they think. Thinking is worst. And that too, wrong thinking, wrong perception. And sometimes I scold people. For that, they will ban me as anger. I should start this group. I was thinking is that every day you people also want Harikatha, right? You people want motivation Harikatha. So I will read. I'll make video I'll put. Let them listen to that. What is Guru disciple? No, that's the thing. Any other doubt?
Yeah.
So Gnana Bandha, they are very good. They are a very good base for anyone to jump and go towards enlightenment. So every saint, every Avadhuta had a tough relationship. It may be tough husband or tough wife or a tough mother or a tough husband or a Guru is always tough. That is there. Or a tough kid. You should watch this movie Siddhartha. Siddhartha was a contemporary enlightened being during Buddha's time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Buddha though he had enemies from the day one only. From the day one of his birth, his own cousins were his enemy. His own dad, not an enemy, but he didn't make him lead a normal life. He lost his mother. His stepmom, kids were his enemy. So outer enemies, the people who are so-called outer enemies, they are nothing but reflection of our inner enemies. Once your inner enemies are totally inner enemies are totally dissolved, then outer enemies don't exist only. See, they will not, that doesn't mean that they will not change. They will be the same. But you will be at peace. You become non-reactive. You will be like, oh, cholo. You'll be at peace. It doesn't mean that you will allow them to, dance on you. You will be very wise in handling them without generating any inner turmoil. So, outer people, whatever bad we experience towards them, that pain, that discomfort, it's all our inner enemies. So we need to focus on finishing our inner enemies with the help of outer enemies, because they are the triggers. They are going to trigger. They're going to trigger the anger in you. They're going to trigger the pain in you. They're going to trigger the discomfort in you. They're going to trigger the desire for liberation. So we need them. Basically, your mind should be very tough. You should be filled with unconditional love. Then things are very easy to handle.
Actually, one more doubt is there. So you had told that.
Yeah.
Inner noise is the hardest thing, right? So somehow I got a little bit of, when I started meditating, I slowly am losing the outer noise, and the only inner noise sometimes is distracting. That's all. But my question is, in spiritual sadhana, let's say we reach a certain state. If anger, lust, hatred, and all these emotions, will it reduces our means state of mind or sadhana? Let's say I'm doing sadhana and suddenly sometimes some interaction will happen, I get angry. Will all that meditation will that pala will go down?
Yeah. Yeah, it can go down. Especially when you do a lot of Guru Seva, you get a lot of punya. When you do dhyan, you get a lot of punya. But you are, again, there'll be triggers. You'll react. So that punya to some extent is lost. No, why should I lie? It is lost. So it keeps happening. Then a stage comes. These are all your tests. A stage comes when you surrender. That time that person will not bother you. Okay. So even for an enlightened being, even they sometimes respond in anger. So they do the dhyan, they go into samadhi and they dissolve it. So those things will be there. It will happen, it will happen, it will happen. It will go to intensity, peak, then it will dissolve. You have to go through that phase, no? Then only it is thrilling. Anything
Correct,
you get,
but no, we should go faster, right?
faster
That will become delayed.
You have to do more seva, do more Guru Seva, do more seva, do more sadhana. See,
Do both. Both we have to do.
yeah, do sadhana, love, increase the love. If you want to grow fast, then do Jivatma 3 times per day. Do it 6 times per day. Do sadhana 8 hours per day, but do more of love and devotion. Anything comes with efforts.
So you were telling surrender, right? So what exactly is it?
See, why you are given a sadhana? You are given a sadhana to make you prepared for surrender. Keep doing sadhana given by the Guru.
Yeah.
Listen to the Guru in the outer world. Then only when you listen to the Guru in the outer world, the Guru will tell all the nonsense things, he will test you. Instead of using a logic and intelligence, if you still very innocently listen to the Guru, then in the sadhana also you will be able to listen to the Guru. That means in the meditation. After that, the higher stage comes where the Guru will speak to you in the inner voice, in the whisper, you'll be able to listen. So first is outer world listening. So why? That's why they say do Guru Seva, because through the Guru Seva only you'll be able to listen to the outer voice. Then come to the listening to the Guru's recorded audios. Okay, that is a very high stage. Perfectly you listen without any deviation. Perfectly you listen with awareness. Then comes to the stage where you and Guru merge. I mean the energy merges. The Guru thinks you act. You think the Guru acts. The Guru thinks you act. The Guru wants bread. You will get the bread to the Guru without the Guru asking you. So Guru desires. The Guru intends. The Guru makes a sankalpa. You will do it. No need to talk only. You set up with Tirunamalai Guru, right? But it's not easy to get such.
But it's higher states.
It's not easy. You know, the ratio of that type of relationship between a Guru and disciple is just maximum is 1:9. Minimum is 1:1. Maximum is
okay.
You may have crores of like Sadhguru or Ravishankar Guruji. They have crores of lakhs of disciples. They are not real disciples. They are all students. Where are you? Okay, they are all just students. The real disciple maximum is only 9. Minimum is 1. And real disciple is what I explained now. No? That qualities should be there. Okay.